Absolute chaos in Los Angeles this week.
What is the bar for sending Marines?
You got a president that got elected because he's going to enforce the border and get rid of illegal immigrant criminals first.
And Gavin Newsom does not want these 2,000 National Guard troops sent in that the president sent in.
Clark. People are walking down the middle of the street blocking traffic. There are a number of police officers on bikes ahead of that group.
An agitated woman driving a small red sedan suddenly accelerated into the crowd of marchers.
This manic behavior gets the rabbit's attention.
Let's start it with like the LA riots right now, the new LA riots.
What they really call them? Are they really riots? Is it good
Yes.
I mean, there's fires, there's rioting, stealing. It's been going on for days now. It's slowed down, but it's ICE. ICE has been deporting people in extreme measures, drastic measures, and I guess the people they rose up in this revolution. No, just no. I guess they assume it's a revolution. I guess it could be called one or a riot or a protest. I don't know. It's definitely something though. And in thoughts?
Did you guys have any protest? Oh, did you guys have any protests by you?
King, no King.
I had one by me for sure. In my couple blocks from me for sure.
I haven't noticed. Any thoughts on what's going on? I mean, I'm kind of on the fence about it. I think a lot of these people did break the law. The people within the last few years. They were coming here and they knew how we felt about it. They're not coming here thinking that they're going to be received with open arms. They know that we're getting upset because there's too many people. When you look around and see 500,000 people around you heading towards the border, the host country might not like it. Okay, but so a lot of them get over and they're not being vetted and things like that. Not everyone deserves to be here like that. But on the other hand, it is American policy around the world that drives these people into our country. We own huge parts of their economies and things like that. And, well, they go where the money is. We're taking their wealth, so they come here. What was happening in Europe with Middle Eastern and African countries, specific countries, pouring into their countries, or into Europe, well, that each one of those countries, there are multinational companies in these countries that are sucking the countries dry. So people are looking for a better way of life. So ultimately it's our bad policies that drive these things, and this is the result of it.
Well, it's funny. We were talking about bad policy. I mean, we talk, people that complain about immigration, like what happened to bring these people in there is, in a lot of circumstances, we bomb their country.
Exactly.
And that's why they're here, and, that's sort of, we talk about bombing Iran. It's like, what do we think what's going to happen if we bomb, I don't want to go back to Iran, but what do we think is going to happen if we bomb Iran? We're going to have, or go to war with Iran, we're going to have millions upon millions of refugees again, and it's,
they're going to go someplace. If not to the United States, it would be very hard right now. They're going to go to Europe. They're going to go where they feel that this is the only option for us. So again, we're causing this.
Yeah, I agree with you on that point. Yeah,
a lot of the population of Mexico at the time, they were struggling, and capitalism. You want to keep down your labor costs as much as possible. So I remember they were encouraging, a lot of people across the border to do those jobs, because they heard it. Everyone heard it. You're working at some shop in Mexico, and then the rumor is, hey, you could do this very same thing in America for a lot more money. So they come over, and they're doing what they were doing over here, making all this money. But to the Americans, that's nothing. So they encourage people to keep pouring into the country. And then one day someone realized, hey, there are too many of them here. That was too late. You guys knew that you were causing this, and you were taking advantage of it. It encouraged people by word of mouth. Everyone's coming here now because the same job you did in that coffee shop making nothing in America, man, you're getting paid. Man, they're coming in. I don't blame them for that dream,
And that's
And then
not even counting the benefits. That's
benefits.
in no country on earth can I go to and get thousands of dollars of benefits. There's not that's not a thing anywhere else in the world except for here. Like, so it's a huge incentive for people to come here. If I cross the border and I get into this country, I'm going to be given a cell phone and a card and thousands of dollars and hotel stays
and live the American dream. I mean
yeah.
that's the American dream, and they're giving it. And here it is. This is
And the
how good
Biden
it is.
administration, I would say, every administration, but it really went to another, like, I think everyone can agree to like a way other level with Biden is, we're letting in 10,000, 20,000 people a month in. That's like, and putting them on the public dole is like,
But
how is that beneficial to, Americans living here? It's not like, there's no way that it can be almost.
but remember, I was saying that gold mine pickaxe. The analogy is, we don't matter. They're just looking for bodies to shore up for the generations that need a certain number of young people to work to take care of the older people, right? So the American birth rate is down. It's not at the pace that it should be. So in
Oh
my
yeah, yeah.
in my head, they let them come in, not caring about how ultimately the population is going to feel about it. Because if we didn't complain about it, it would just keep happening. It would just keep on happening until they're satisfied. Like, we got enough numbers in here, and this will shore up the numbers. So, I mean, to me, that's one of the negative effects of capitalism. Shrinking the middle class means fewer people are born. After 30, 40 years of this bullshit, it matters.
We could
Because,
say, yeah. Oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say part of that is like living in a prosperous country is that you become, I think, more selfish. I think that's happened. Once you have your needs taken care of, is you get that selfish, but it's also, it's harder to raise and have kids now than it ever has been. In terms of trying, that's a way to keep birth rates down. Is you make it very expensive and very difficult to raise children. You know.
I don't know if there's ever been a thing called a family-friendly economy, but it's definitely hostile to families.
I'm figuring that you figure that out now, yeah, with kids, man. It's tough out there with the kid. Like nobody, like everybody's getting mad at you if you bring your kid somewhere, and it's tough.
Yeah, it
See,
is.
but
But
isn't this expensive to do on our end? Like all this ICE stuff and shit. Like I know we pay all these agents, and they
yeah,
look like they're not trained well.
They're not. They stepped up because they got a chance to do something against people they don't like. I get a chance to do this, I'm volunteering to do this shit
yeah,
for free.
See, it reminds me though of, you know, like Hitler Germany. It's like I don't agree with like the way they're going about it, where like they just jump out and snatch people, and it's like, oh, and they don't care. Like I've seen where they've snatched people in New York and like snatched a lady, and she was like, I don't know how she was vacationing, but she was vacationing there and like left her kid there. Like they just grab, like they don't care. They leave the kid there and stuff
Mm.
and shit like that.
Man, this is like terror. Ooh, man, this is terror.
that's the whole. That's the goal, though. Yeah, I mean, but I would say that's the goal on both sides. Is it by when once they it's like Iran. Once I hate to bring it, like once we bomb them, anything else after that is easy to do. Once they're here, it's harder to what's to say once there's a new cutout for people to get like a benefit, you can't ever take that away. If the government gives you something, like you can't really take that back. Like the government can't, like without that's kind of it's not it's comp it's I get these it's human lives and you know what
So
I would say it's what I would say is that you can get it's you almost have to live by it. I would say it's more of you have to like it's more of a set of principles, because if you let emotions dictate your decisions, like you can emotionally rationalize basically America paying for the entire world to be middle class. Like you could make that, there's no end to that. And I think that's what, you talk about people getting snatched up, and that's not good. It's not good. It's terrible. I'm sure it's frightening. But uh, there's uh,
There's rules.
but like if you don't like there's no end to that. Then like I could take that to, like I said, why why aren't we paying for people in Bangladesh? Why aren't we paying for, why aren't we helping people in Somalia? Why aren't we helping people in, India? Why aren't we helping people in, anywhere? You can emotionally justify that to the whole world, basically. So like
But we've
where's the cutoff point? Who do we help and who do we not help?
Yeah, but we've never really done that. That help comes with conditions. You know,
Yeah.
if I
Well,
give
yeah.
you aid, yeah. It's as if though the American people aren't familiar with the government's playbook. This is necessary. Everything that we're doing is tentacles around the world manipulating the scene. They say cutting off aid to these countries. Well, you're interfering with how they run their business. That's why cutting it off doesn't make any sense. But we should cut it off because it keeps these countries dependent. It keeps them, like African
Right.
nations. It's a trap. It's a debt trap.
See,
And
Where
I
they
feel
feel
like
obligated to us.
yeah,
I
exactly.
feel like there I don't know, it's like there needs to be like levels of that shit, because I know Mexico, they're on the same, continent of fucking United States. So is Canada and shit. Being that like those places are here, I feel like we should have way more like leeway with like how we do business with them with this. Like I understand like about the other countries, because that's like, you gotta take a ship and a plane to get here and shit. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like, the Americas, before it was Americas, it was fucking just one fucking big ass fucking, land. You know, it got marks on it now, and this is this person's land, this is that. But I just feel like we should do business better with like Mexico. Because we do it like in America, we do rely on like the Latinos. It's like an American thing, Taco Tuesday, shit, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from what I understand, Mexico is in the top 20 economies in the world because America's number one trading partner is Mexico. And the people that are, coming over the border are not Mexicans. They're the other Latin American countries. So Mexico is making money. They just need to decide, what direction they want to go in. But from what I understand, America is trying to prop up Mexico to be our China, you know, and the Mexicans are learning a lot, like the Chinese. When you're asking them to make everything because you guys work cheap, well, they're also learning and innovating at the same time. And
How do work permits work? Could they get work permits in Mexico? Like come out here for work?
yeah, so I
Oh
mean, it's
yeah, all the time.
culture. Yeah, I know that.
Is that an easy process or is it like hard?
I think it's easy just because, that's a legal path that I think people like. I mean, you come over here to do something specific, it benefits some company,
See,
you
because
know.
that's what I'm trying to get at is like there needs to be a legal path, and
Yeah,
so things could be tracked, and
right.
who's coming in your country. There's no reason to go that way because you're gonna come in through this way, and we track this stuff, and then it's like all right, now we know where
Like how
you are.
every other country works. But ours, that's how every other country works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
In Canada, it's like in Canada, they'll deny you if you're a felon. It's like, nope, you got to go back. But you're
Right.
coming in through the airport. It's like
You're full blown, we're all American citizens here. You can't go to Canada and they'll just give you thousands of dollars and stuff. And we're American, it's not how it's. I think that's like my point is like people say we're like, evil or if anything, we're the most generous country on earth. Like no other country works this way. And I think that gets kind of lost in a lot of this is
But
that,
do you think it's just the money, though? Being the richest country that ever existed, these things are minuscule in the grand scheme of things. It gives the Americans the illusion that they're parental, they're a patriarchal type of benevolent behavior, that type of shit. I don't know.
well,
It's
I'm
nice,
against it.
yeah.
No, I was because we're not paying. It's we're justifying paying them what they're not what we should be paying them, you know, because they're foreign workers. We should be paying them more, but like we should be paying. That's why they'll do it. It's because they'll do it for a lesser wage. But like that undercuts, you know, people always make this argument, oh, we won't if we get rid of, people won't. Well, they'll have to rate. They won't be able to charge
Yeah, it
what they
fucks up
what
our
five
economy.
dollars and 60 cents or whatever to pick something in the field. They couldn't charge that anymore.
Yeah.
They'd have
Yeah.
to pay. They'd have to pay more.
Yeah.
That's the economy side of like the farming side of America. It's like like yeah, there were a lot of Latinos and stuff, working these farms and shit, but you chase them off, and now it's like, who's gonna pick this shit? It's like you gonna fuck up our fucking crops. Prices are gonna look at the fucking when the chickens when they killed all the chickens. Chickens still haven't hit. The price for eggs still haven't dropped. To a regular price. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah,
madness.
it's a system. It's a system. It's dependent on a low tier workforce. That low tier workforce is the foundation for everything. If you
Yeah, but
make that
that's
crack, everything falls apart.
yeah. That's the thing though. It's like America is built now off of like, it is built off like a lot of the immigrants and shit like that, and we still get immigrants and descendants of immigrants and shit like that. But
I mean, when you say immigrants, I mean, the truth is on the timeline, we're all descendants of recent immigrants. I don't think the true American is truly solidified yet. I think we're all stewing in this big pot. And I don't know how long it will take before you get a genuine American, but America to me is a membership. It's a citizenship. It's not a specific group of people. It's not an ethno state. It never was. So it's not like China or Britain or France. Countries that are a very specific ethnic group, and then that's who they are. America's still cooking, despite what anyone thinks. In my opinion, the true American has yet to be born that way. You can say you're American as much as you want, but we're all recent. We're all recent immigrants. Some more recent than others.
all right, so let's get to these the rioting and shit. I heard it was in Chicago too. Uh, it started with protesting. I don't know, Dan, do you feel like, oh no, John, do you feel like it wasn't riots?
No, I mean, rioting. I mean, there's always going to be bad actors in a situation. Some
Uh-huh.
people take advantage of it. Is there a concerted effort by the community to do these things? No, absolutely not. It doesn't take that many people to make it look like a riot. It really doesn't.
You
People are
burn a
going to be
car.
outside. Yeah, burn a car or two, run around, smash some windows, and there are people that are just running around just because they're out there. And then there is a percentage of people that are stealing. So you can steer the narrative however you want. These people are upset, and this is how they're going to express themselves. This should be expected, not like shunned. Like, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a 5-step process which leads to this. So we can't be surprised. It's a formula that works every time. You do
Yeah,
something people don't like, they do this shit.
and you do also have like those agencies out there who are like anarchy.
Right.
They're burning the cars. Like I've seen videos with like a bunch of Mexicans. It's like, man, that's their ass over there. Like this, and these motherfuckers ain't with us. Like they're burning this shit.
Right. I'm not doing shit. I don't like what's going on, but man, I'm late for work. I'll talk to you later. I'm gone. It's just
Or
people out
like
there doing their thing. That's the majority.
the people who are running over protesters. I
Right.
get it. Like you're on your way to work and shit, but it's like, fuck, man. Like don't fucking kill people. Like I get like I haven't had protesters in my way, you know. I can see how that could be annoying, but I'm not gonna murder somebody.
Yeah.
Like like that's bizarre. Like to be
Yeah,
like
road rage is real, man.
road rage is real, but that's something different, man. That's like road
Right.
rage between two cars is like this motherfucker. You can't even see him for a minute. You know, you trying to catch up to see like, oh yeah, he did it on purpose because he looks like an asshole. But like you
Right.
see the people and they're like, oh, and they're like, I'm just gonna run over 9 of you motherfuckers. Like, fuck this.
And it's a politically motivated action. You're doing
Mhm.
it because you don't like their politics. It's in your face. You were just bitching about this shit last night on the news. I mean, last night at dinner, and here it is in your fucking face, and they're making me late. I'm gonna
I
run these motherfuckers over.
I believe in Arizona they passed a law where you can now just run them over.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it
You
was
have to see
Florida.
it.
Florida,
Yeah,
yeah, Florida. My bad, Arizona,
yeah. You have to
Florida.
believe that there's impending danger, though. You just can't like, oh shit, make a U-turn and run people over. You
Yeah,
know.
they're supposed to be swarming your car, but you know, like it's like, man, they are now.
Hmm.
Too many of them.
That's terrible, man. You know, one of the things we have right is the right to protest. Maybe that's not the best method, but that's just part of being
It's like
uh,
freedom of speech. You know, it's the
freedom of
same
speech.
shit.
Yeah, I mean, you're not supposed to do it, but just drawing attention to their cause. I mean,
Yeah,
that's all it is,
peaceful,
man.
peacefully,
Peaceful,
peaceful.
peaceful. Yeah, but it's not a bomb.
Mm,
It's not blowing up a government location or some type of violent act. I mean, people just want to be heard, and people don't listen. And when the higher ups are not listening, they do shit like that. They're not engaged in a way to prevent these things. And in my opinion, I think they almost encourage it. How can in 2025 not understand? Like I said, there's a series of steps that leads to these things. How about we stop doing those things so that we don't have to do this shit over and over again? And it just simply keeps us all divided. I think I'm tired of how we handle these problems. We don't handle them. We just watch them burn and try to put it out with a garden hose every fucking time. Am I making any sense?
Is he Dan?
no, he of course he is. It's not an easy. There's what's the there's no easy solution. What's the what you take what happened over the Biden years, and there's bringing in literally millions of people into this country, and then putting them on the public dole, and then trying to back maneuver their way to get them voting rights so they can keep themselves in power and then keep getting these benefits. I mean, what's the solution to that? I don't.
Can I say
There's
something?
not an easy solution that's humane and or right or even or that's the goal is for it to be fucked.
So I want to think about this though. It's like, could you imagine being the dude who's like late for work? Okay, you're driving. There's a protest. You're like, fuck this shit. You run over 9 of their asses.
Right.
Nobody stops you. You get through. You get to your job. You pull into your parking lot. What are your thoughts? It's like, god
Uh,
damn. Like,
Well, you put it on something like he's late for work. What if there's an ambulance in there and you're dying and it's getting caught up in a protest? What about that?
that,
What about your wife's pregnant and she's having a baby and she needs to get to the hospital and you can't because there's so you just take the easy route, but there's more than life than just, oh, I
yeah,
was late for work
yeah.
shit. Well, what if that
You've
job
been
was
shot in
your
the
lifeline to
neck.
paying
Yeah,
your bills
yeah,
that gets you kicked out of your
yeah,
house?
yeah, yeah. Yeah. You're just having a really bad day that day, and you're like, fuck it.
It's easy to
Today's the
say,
day.
oh,
Yeah.
I'm an hour late for Amazon. Whoa, wah,
Yeah.
wah, wah. I'll
They're
just put
gonna
in some
fire me.
PTO.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that
Yeah.
does
I
happen,
have
but
no PTO. Get the fuck out the way. Motherfuckers. Yeah. Yeah.
I guarantee your wife's pregnant in that car. You feel a different way about those protesters. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that. Or your
Yeah.
wife's
yeah,
dying in that car, and
Yeah.
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
those are the extreme
You
cases,
get caught in the protest, you're just trying to get out now. It's like, I got my kids in the car.
right?
Yeah. No, but
I
I'm
don't
just
know.
saying, like, yeah, I mean, I don't think people should like lose control of like humanity. You know, it's so fast to be like, because we all, as men, we all have that like dark side in us and shit. It's like, I could kill this motherfucker right now. Yeah, you know, but you don't because you got that like human in you. Like, you know, he's probably having a bad day. Like, you know, empathy. You know, people don't
I
have
don't
it.
want to do any time in jail. I think for me, is
Yeah.
a huge motivating factor is I don't want to go to
Yeah.
prison.
Yeah. They'll
That,
notice you, Dan. They'll notice you. You're like 6'7".
well, I certainly won't hide.
Yeah. He's like, who'd you vote for?
Don't drop the soap around me.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, but you're right, man. I mean, there's some ways of getting angry that can land you in prison. Prison,
yeah.
man. No, no, thank you, man. Like keeping it real, in that moment. Man, fuck that shit, man. I don't let no one say that shit to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're in jail for the rest of the time. Screw that.
Yeah. Life,
Dude,
you know?
have me stuck in traffic and then have a motherfucker come on me on the extra road or whatever, and see be in their car with me there. I get fucking furious when somebody takes like the extra lane road or whatever and just flies past everyone. That gets me on another level, man. I will
Oh
be
yeah,
that guy that will sometimes swing into that lane and block you. I will do that.
yeah. I do that. Yeah, the mergers. I hate when for at least 2 miles, it's been telling you that the lanes are merging up ahead. Pay fucking attention. So if we all get in a single file, we'll all zip through. But there's always some assholes that are gonna tempt fate and gun it, and they're gonna
Yeah.
try and cut you off at the very top. Now, sometimes when it's slow, there's a jam. You're like wondering why is there a jam? Because there are a lot of assholes. Those assholes that like cutting people off, they're causing the jam. They don't understand that you are the jam. We can't get through because the person who's been waiting in line for the last fucking 5 minutes is not gonna let you in. So then
Hey,
everyone is bunched up.
I'm the guy like in Chicago. I drive different from out here, but in Chicago, I used to be the guy who was driving on the what is that, the leg or the arm, you know, just cutting off everybody like woo, and then just
Well,
jump in.
man.
They'd be like,
And when
that
that
guy.
extra lane opens, when it flips in Chicago
Yeah, yeah.
downtown, oh man, the chaos to get into that lane is. I've been there when it like you see the little thing flip up, and it switches, and it's just like everyone, the people that just missed it trying to go back, and
Yeah, that's the only place I've ever seen that does that. And you're talking about the one off the Kennedy, right?
well, right after um like North Avenue, almost like this is when it starts. I feel like, or maybe a little before that, like Lake Street, and then it
Hmm.
takes you to like that's when that extra lane starts, and then it flips.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I got you. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. On your mark. It's that.
Arizona, they got a carpool lane where, like, if you have somebody in your car, you can go in this extra lane, even in rush hour. And if you don't have it, you can't go in that lane. And they really like watch it, and you get a huge fine if they had people like put blow up dolls like in the passenger seat and shit trying to use that extra lane.
I seen that. I seen that
Like,
in a TV show before.
oh yeah, that's a real thing in
Larry
Arizona.
Davis. Larry Davis TV show. I forgot what it's called. Goddamn. He's the guy who created
Curb.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah,
I
I heard
love
good
that show.
things.
Yeah. So what is something like we could do in the United States, not us, but like to fix like the deportation situation? Is it,
I
how do
mean,
we mitigate this before it
to
gets out of hand?
help develop their economies. These people need work. Sending them back doesn't change the fact that you know they have problems that our hands are responsible. I mean, if we can help create industries down there, they'll stay there. I think that's a long term.
Make cell phones,
Whatever, yeah. I mean, whatever it takes. I mean,
iPhones.
someone's got to be at that low tier making these things. That's how capitalism works. The foundation is people at the very bottom making low tier stuff, and everything works up from there. You know, the guy at the very top does very little because the people at the bottom do everything.
But
But
don't you not want that job? Isn't that what you're complaining about a lot with like Africa? Is that all of these other countries are getting involved in the by throwing money into all these, all these African countries?
No, what I think I was suggesting was someone's got to do the work. I mean, the African countries are being exploited. What Europe's mistake was not helping these countries develop, right? Um, they were there building infrastructure that didn't favor the host country. It favored their trading exploits, So these countries remain undeveloped. Now, they could have used them as like a low tier workforce manufacturing for cheaper goods and things like that, but they didn't. Rather, they're just harvesting from them instead. So a lot of African nations never developed specific skills, manufacturing skills. It helps. But the Chinese did, you know. Culturally, they were very receptive to it. And when they were introduced the Western way of doing it, they adopted very quickly because they had similar methods for centuries. How you organize large numbers of people to do complicated, repetitive things. And that's why they're really good at it. It's a cultural thing. So I'm suggesting that we can help develop those economies so that they're making things, that they're staying there. They have to be given a life. America just can't keep sucking these countries dry and expect these different results. We've been doing it for 30 years and this is what happens. Are we going to keep doing this? And this is the blowback. Just do something different. When people are doing something for the first time, you have no idea. You implement something, you have no idea what 30 years of this shit's going to do. Well, here it is. We're here. So I think we have to stop it at the source. Let these countries develop. Stop interfering with these countries. Stop staging coups around the world. Stop telling us one thing when you're clearly doing something else. You mentioned something about 9/11 earlier, Kevin. I no longer believe the narrative that I'm told. When I watch these documentaries about 9/11, I don't believe them anymore. There's another narrative, and I think I'm going to go with that one. Someone else is responsible for 9/11. The story isn't quite exactly what they say.
Yeah, I mean, I would say to the first part, John, that's the classic. That's the Democrat, is to develop other countries, and like that, I would say that's that's the traditional Democrat answer to that question, and the Republican answer is just, I guess, kind of just basically deport them. But I think when you understand, I don't know, that illegal immigration drives up the cost on everything for like Americans, from food to housing to insurance to, and you could say like to all of those things, there's other forces in fact, in play that make them not, you know, to that give them high costs. But everything in your life from immigration, you pay for that. Like real Americans pay for that. Like through everything. Like, if there's a house on the market and you have to compete with 50 people as opposed to 3 people, that's going to inevitably raise the price. I would say it's not our responsibility to help other countries. I come from a traditionally an isolationist view. I always say I believe in isolationism, and I would say America, outside of, to get out of social issues, but became the greatest country or became the strongest, most richest country from isolationism. We came out of, we didn't initially join World War II, and I don't think that we should have, and you could say that we were brought into that war. John says 9/11. I could say Pearl Harbor. I would say a lot of countries knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And you could even argue that America knew that was going to happen, but maybe that's a little too extreme. But I would say at least the British knew that for sure, that Pearl Harbor was going to happen, and they wanted to bring us into that war.
Didn't they move their boats and shit out the fucking?
And what's come from since we've left isolationism and being in other countries' business is that we've lost almost every single war we've been in, and we've done all of the shady stuff along the way, and that's what I think that would be, my push to go back to, I don't think that'll ever happen. I think it's a pipe dream now to go back to more of an isolationism, because I think that was the true founding of this country, was not to be in anyone's business, was to just do our own thing, and not be in foreign, George Washington tells about not being tied up in foreign affairs. If anything, we're tied up in every foreign affair, and that's kind of what I would say.
Yeah. Well, that just goes back to the dominance of the Western nations. The imperial powers. And that's their worldview, and yeah, that's how they do things. And I don't know, man. This has been going on for centuries. It has to stop. It has to stop right now. What's about to happen in Iran? What's about to happen? It's part of that legacy. This doesn't happen just to happen. It's just part of that legacy. I understand that these two had a relationship that was beneficial at the time, and then the Ayatollah got into power. It went bad in 1979. It was perfect before that. At least, a parasitic relationship. I get what I want from you, and you do as I say. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll definitely have some more immigration problems if we start bombing the shit out of a 90 million country people and displace, tens of millions of people. We'll certainly have more of an immigration crisis then, so uh, and then we can have that Muslim versus Jewish versus Christian fight, in America, and it's all fun and gay, it's yeah, I don't know, man.
Bring back the original war.
I've been
Crusaders.
black-pilled today, man. I had some hope earlier, even just a few hours ago. I had so much more hope than I do now for the future. But I think
Dan,
this.
Dan, you talking about bringing back the Crusaders?
I mean, there is.
I mean, you could argue in a way we're doing it just for another religion. So
Yeah.
we're not even doing it for our own religion. We're doing it for somebody else's religion. It's even worse.
Because for some people, it fulfills that prophecy, the coming of Jesus. So they have to help facilitate this.
Well,
this
they thought in the Crusades the rapture was coming when when they took back Jerusalem the first time. They thought that was it. God's gonna come back.
religion is scary, man.
Yeah.
Scary on so many levels.
Well, that first crusade is crazy. Like I said, that first crusade is crazy because they were. I don't know if you remember it, but like they were gonna get smoked, and then this guy like digs up this relic, and like it totally inspires them and like gives them renewed, and then like helps them win the battle. But then it turns out later that this relic was complete bullshit. But it's just the power of.
Yeah, I think from the book you're talking about, they proved the relic wasn't real because he burned himself alive and he thought like
Yeah.
he walked across like coals or some shit and he was supposed to like not be hurt at all and they were like the crowd sensed that he was badly injured. He ended up dying from that.
That's the old Salem witch bullshit where it was like if she drowned, it was like she was actually innocent and it was like whoops.
Yeah.
But if she floated, she was guilty or whatever, and we had to kill her.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that, but like he tried to impose decimation on the Crusader army, and that's when they turned on him. They're like, "Yeah, we're not gonna, start killing ourselves because go screw yourself."
Religion is scary. It's whatever you want it to be. It's a fill the gaps, whatever you want. You just have to have a religious decree, and you can do any vile act you can imagine. All you have to do is say it in the name of your God.
Well, you're seeing it right now for sure. You could see tens of thousands of people being slaughtered, and you even have Christians, complicit in it. And it's just, well, the
Well,
Bible
Jesus,
says we have to back Israel no matter what. So
right? Yeah,
no matter what they do, it's obviously what God wants. So
Israel's like, it's right there in Genesis if you can't find it.
right.
Point it out.
I was saying, should we have a hostile attitude towards Egypt because, Moses brought the plagues on Egypt. So should we start bombing Egypt then,
Yeah, this is for biblical.
Yeah, hey, obviously God didn't like you because Moses brought, the 10 plagues on you. So
Yeah.
we obviously don't, should be taking you over too.
Yeah. Remember that shit you did? Fucking motherfuckers, though. That'd be crazy.
It's what it is crazy, but it's being it's crazy, but it's
Yeah.
also being used by millions of people.
It's been amazing, another amazing conversation. Thank you guys for coming on. Thank you guys for listening.